Hey, hello everyone. I hope you are well. We can only hope and trust and pray. Welcome again to PHCL 102. That is Philosophy and Classics 102. The specific presentation is on Plato's metaphysical concept. Okay, that has already been engaged in the in-person lecture you had with me for your various groups. Okay, but we are doing this quick voiceover, if you like, on the slides that have been sent to you to help your revision. And so we will just highlight the main points. We know that Plato is engaging a metaphysical question in his allegory of the cave. We are doing metaphysics, and we know that metaphysics asks the question of what is real, what exists, what is really there, what is truth. Is there life after death? These are all metaphysical questions. They are looking for that which is really there. Now, this lecture can be outlined into three quickly so that you would know what the emphasis is. The question of reality, metaphysics, and Plato's allegory of the cave that you have so beautifully engaged and we discussed together, and then his theory of the forms. So that is the outline. We should be guided by that content as we engage. On the third slide, we are seeing a fair, description of what the branch of philosophy called metaphysics is. It is a branch of philosophy that seeks the basic criteria for determining what things are real. Take note of that. What things are real? What is reality? What exists? Okay, what is truth? What is the true nature of things? What is really there? The question of reality. When we try to interrogate that which makes a thing real, what it means to be real at all, then we are doing metaphysics. Okay. Now there are theories of reality. In other words, there are theories of metaphysics. Some believe in monism. They believe that reality is composed of one thing only. When you advance, you will see that idealists and materialists are each what monist views when it comes to what is real. The idealist says reality is non-physical, it's ideas, mind and ideas, mental phenomena. Okay, whilst the materialist would say reality is matter, but each of them represent a monist view. Then there is dualism. They believe that reality is composed of two things, duality, two. So there may be several things on it, but they are not real. That's the case. The real thing is two, says the dualism, or are two. Then pluralism believes that reality is composed of many things, plural. Down there you see nihilism. My special student, I'm speaking or reading everything out for your benefit also, those who have visual impairment. So kindly bear with me if you do not understand why I'm virtually reading almost everything on the slides. We have different constituencies and they should all be served relatively equally. Okay, so the nihilist or nihilism would say that nothing exists. Okay, that is also a metaphysical theory or a metaphysical position of reality. Okay, now our focus will be on Plato, 428 to 348 BC. He's an ancient Greek philosopher. You don't need to be told all of that, but he sets the discussion in context. He's a student of Socrates, and then he likewise taught Aristotle. So Socrates teaches Plato, and Plato mentors Aristotle. Okay. He's a philosopher and a mathematician. We know he founded the Academy of Athens, the first higher institution of learning in the Western world. His works are many, but we can talk of the Republic, Crito, Apology. You may see them sometime in future if you haven't already. Now, the allegory of the cave will give you a pictorial representation of what you have read. So the cave, the roadway, the diffused daylight, the fireplace, all inside the cave, and then where the released prisoner ascends, rises out. Okay. to embrace reality, and then how he struggles to do that. And when he returns back into the cave, the difficulty he will have because he's now seeing some light, and therefore cannot any longer manage the darkness in the cave when he returns. The thing is, initially, he was so accustomed to the darkness, he didn't even feel it. But when you encounter light and you come back into darkness, then it seems as if now you can understand the depth of the darkness. If you haven't seen goodness, then you make do with the bad situations around you. But when you see good, then you can now distinguish the good from the supposed good in the past. Okay, so that is a scenario of that. Plato's theory of reality. Plato uses his allegory of the cave, that parable, that story, that if you like Jesus would tell a parable of the sower. Then afterwards he will say, well, the one sowing was so and so and so, and the seed is so and so and so, and and the word is so and so and so. So that is what an allegory is. An allegory of the cave. Plato does same. I mean, whether Plato himself or he's speaking through his master Socrates. The point is, the case is made that, you know, that story is used to make a case. And so that is the point. One, what point is he using the allegory of the cave to make? He's showing the relationship between the appearance of something and the reality of it. The key point is things are not what they seem to be. So the real table is not just the thing you are writing on, that physical four-legged furniture you are writing on. That is a table, but it is not a real one. It's just a particular example of a table. That's how come someone else also has a table in their room, and the watch seller is selling on the table, and the big boss is writing on the table at the banking hall, and there are several tables, and some are even yet to be created. That model is yet to be created, and yet it is a table. Because for Plato, the real thing is not that which is given to us in sensation, physical, not at all. The reality of a table is not the particular manifestation of it, which we see by our senses and can touch and can break and can burn it into ashes. The next minute, it will no longer be a table. No, it says if it is real, then it shouldn't be changeable. We'll get into the differences. Okay, so get that. He thinks that reality can be distinguished from appearance. And the table, a chair, human being, ness, bagness, justice, good. These are all reality if you are dealing with the idea of it, the concept of it, okay, not the particular instances of it. So not the seeing and the feeling and the touching and tasting and smelling of a thing. That thing will no longer be real. The real things are not seen, they are not touched, they are not tasted, they are not felt. So your five senses cannot apprehend. This is his word, cannot apprehend reality. Real things are not seen. Okay, that summarizes it for you. Even if we end here, you have a good ground, in Plato's allegory. Then he uses the allegory to also show the relationship between belief and knowledge. Okay, it shows that what you believe in need not necessarily constitute knowledge. That knowledge is a higher level than belief. We'll see how he distinguishes the two. Belief comes for him still via the senses, maybe informed, something that is coming from an expert, say a medical doctor or politician, or an expert information. Yet it does not necessarily represent the truth or the real, says Plato, because it could change. It could be wrong. The heliocentric view was just admitted after years and years of the geocentric view of the universe. Experts thought that the Earth was rather in the center of the universe. This was so grounded, but it turns out that it was false. So Plato says, yes, they were experts that taught us that, but what they told us was based on their senses, empirical evidence. it fails, it could fail. And so if it is knowledge, it shouldn't change. But if the truth, the supposed truth that is coming to us from the empirical source could change, could falter, sickle cell patients need not die now at the age that in the past they claimed they would die. So that information, that content, you see, I'm not saying that knowledge, because if I want to speak Plato, he will not say no, that so-called knowledge then wasn't knowledge after all, says Plato. It could be a belief or an opinion, however informed that opinion is, but not knowledge. Plato will use the allegory of the cave, the scenario he creates, the parable, to show that our beliefs may not necessarily constitute truth or knowledge proper. Okay, then he will use the allegory of the cave to also show what the responsibilities of the philosopher is. After you have climbed out of the cave to encounter reality, you are obliged as a philosopher to return to the cave scenario and help others up. So if it's religion, when you encounter salvation, then you have to go back in there to that field and bring others out. If it is culture, then when you encounter the real meaning of, say, justice, right, wrong, you are obliged as a great thinker to impact your society. Go back and help remove the entanglement of chains of ignorance. We don't want any mosquito repellent. This is what we have eaten all these years. So we don't want any, we will not sit in a car. All those things are supposedly the past. Okay, so people will say, we will not change. We are fixed to that. Plato says, when we encounter the truth about what justice really is, we should come and improve our justice system. If we encounter the truth about what really truth is, what really constitutes knowledge, how society should be organized, what a good society really is, then we may want to come back and say, you cannot emit too many gases into the system. I said that today. This is, I think, the third time, and claim that you are an industrialized society and you are a good society because you have money, or you are managing the society well because you are economically sound. What is a good society? One that doesn't take care of its own, or what? A philosopher goes out there, reflects, asks questions, analyzes, proposes, makes proposal, and come to the light of truth, enlightenment, answer outside of the cave. You get it, and you don't stay there and then sit on that ivory tower and celebrate your intelligence. You bring it back into the banking system and tell them to have a different conception of what it means to be a leader, a boss, a manager. There is nothing wrong with wearing your t-shirt and your jeans and joining the tellers that Monday morning, even as the manager of the company. You may be shocked the impact it will make, how organized your banking hall will look like, and how much you will cash in by just your posturing if you got some philosophical light, okay, from a thinker who doesn't think being a manager means bossing around and throwing your weight about with an oversized jacket. It might not be what you need. That may just be the trick that will up your game. So people should come back, philosophers, and impact their societies. So I move from the banking hall to the religious setting. You might have some views to contribute to what constitutes holiness. Could it be necessarily wear this or don't wear that? Or it would be decent. Let's emphasize decency than men's clothing versus women's clothing. You may ask those questions after your reflections, and you might help to change the whole doctrinal view, etc., etc. So those are the proposals that I am practicalizing for you. Plato says, when you reflect outside of the cave of the sensible world, the world of empirical, your senses, you are seeing the sisters, whatever, and so your fasting has been interrupted. You saw the gentleman's cash behind his back pocket, and all of a sudden you have forgotten that it is wrong to steal. He says, if you would only close your eyes and cease hearing those difficult languages, hearing your ears, and block your emotions, the senses, from receiving such corruption into your system, and focus on the non-physical part of you, reflection, meditation, what have you, then you will have a clearer view of what it means to live a right life, a good life. You may interrogate, you know, the essence of things rather than the accidental features. Okay. So that is what Plato's allegory in summary seeks to do. Depend less on the senses and allow the non-physical part of you, which some may call the mind, some say soul, some say spirit. Let that part, the intellect, intelligible part of you, take dominance. But as you do that, you are able to make reasoned decisions, which are intelligent ultimately, than ones that are driven by emotions and appetite. And because you saw the lady's skirt and it was short, that's why you raped her. I mean, why did you see? Close your eyes and think. Because the way he hit you, you felt the pain. That's why you took off your shirt and you hit your mother back. Were you thinking right? Were you reflecting? You shouldn't act or move based on the empirical uh, 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 information that comes to you. That's Plato. That's practical. Okay. So now to the forms itself, Plato's content. According to Plato, things which fall under a common name must have something in common by virtue of which they are called by that name. Okay, so let's give an example. Let's use ball. I could say football. I could say handball. I could say baseball. So essentially, they are all balls, but they have different particular representations of them. So whether it is a baseball or a handball or a tennis ball, it is a ball. Essentially speaking, that is the essence. The other thing about it is an accidental feature. So Plato believes things have essences. Chairs, human beings, whether long hair or short hair, or fair colored or dark colored, Caucasian, albino, is the person human? Then essentially there is something that makes a person a human being, regardless of whether they have hair or not, and whether the hair is long or short, or the color of the skin, or the part of the world that they belong to, Western or Northern, or religion, or what have you, etc. Okay. So Plato emphasizes on my screen now the essence of a thing, and that is what he calls its form, capital F, wherever you find it, capital F, or its idea. That is real. The essence of a phone is that it can pick and make calls or messages. If you have a phone, no matter how beautiful, how branded, how expensive, how many there are, customized or not, you say it is a phone, it must make and receive calls. The fact that it has camera, it has radio on it, and has a satellite and etc. Beautiful, but perhaps they are not essential to being a phone. The day it ceases to pick and receive calls, it has lost its essence, its form, its idea, that which makes it what it is, the essence of a thing. No matter how great a person is, the day he or she loses her essence, she will be thrown into a 6 feet grave, respectfully. That means she is not or he's no longer what she is essentially. Why? Because there is something in a thing, says Plato, that makes the thing what it is. All other things may be artificial, may be accidental. If someone loses their limbs, God forbid, or their hands, their legs, see, we don't throw them away because they haven't lost their essence. In fact, some even lose their brain, so to speak. They walk naked and talk and talk. We don't bury them. We just worry about them. Oh, he's getting mad, or he's getting mentalistic, or he has a psychological problem. We don't throw them away because they haven't lost their essence, says Plato. The essence of a pen is that it can write. It is called a pen. There's something in it that makes it what it is. So no matter how designer, how beautiful the shape, how customized the pen is, if it doesn't rise, it is not playing its role. It has lost that which makes it what it is. Plato calls the essence of a thing the thing's what form or idea. And that one is not tangible. That is why for Plato, reality is what the form is in the form of what essence. The real thing is the essence, the form or the idea of a thing. So the real table is its idea. That's why the idea transcends cultures, transcends personalities. I can conceive of the idea of a table and create one. You can create another table, another person can create it. The reality, we all have it, one. The particular representations may differ. We can have a four-legged table. The particular one that we see, the physical one, it is not real. The particular human being we see is not real. But what is real? Human beingness, the concept, the idea, is the real thing. That's the essence, not a particular example. So Plato holds that there are two worlds. The world of being, that is the real world. Everything is. It is what it is. The table is what it is. A human being or human beingness is the reality. The world of being is also called the world of reality. It's also called the world of forms. It's also called the world of ideas. The intelligible world. All of that is referring to what? Plato's real world. And then we have the world of appearance, the world of becoming. Everything is becoming something. A table is going to become ashes in no time. Human beings are going to become maggots in no time. That's your fine shirt, that fine skin, your cheek, that you don't want anybody to touch. Hey, don't touch me. Don't you see? I just put on a cologne. Well, it's just a matter of time, sister. Ask Granny. You see Granny's wrinkled cheek? Oh my. So everything is becoming something. We things are that the physical world and everything in it, Plato says, is the world of becoming, appearance. Everything is constantly changing. That is why it is not real. If it is real, it must remain as it is, unchanging, eternal, etc. Okay. So the world of being or the world of reality is composed of or constituted of what? Forms, as the world of becoming is composed of sensible objects, things that you sense, particular instances of things, several photocopies of the original. Okay. Plato's forms. It is also called, I've said all of that, it's also called ideas. The theory of forms is the belief in a transcendental world of eternal or immaterial and absolute things that correspond, not corresponds, correct that for me, that correspond to every kind of thing that there is and cause in particular things their essential nature. So you correct that also, that and cause, not causes. The form of something is what the thing is. We have said that it is the essence, the nature, the essential structure, the object of definition. Now let's distinguish his two worlds, the real world and the world of appearance. The real world, we have said, is also intelligible, is the world of forms, the world of ideas, whilst the artificial world, the world of appearance, is also described as the world of the sensible, the world of particulars, is the opposite of the world of form. There is a fundamental challenge or critique that Aristotle raises. We'll see it in a minute. I mean, he says that if the real world causes or brings about a particular world, you see, the real table is the one that causes, brings about the particular several tables that we see on the physical one. Then why is it that they don't share anything in common? Why is it that the real table and the particular examples of tables do not share anything in common? When we say that, we mean, look, the real table doesn't change. We look on the screen now, doesn't change. It is perfect. It is you use the intelligence to apprehend it. It is incorporeal. All the qualities that reality, the real table has, is the opposite of what the particular table has. You can't destroy tableness, can you? No. But you can destroy the table, a particular table. You can burn it. You can't change the concept beauty, equality, justice, proper. Human beingness. You can't destroy human being, but you can destroy a particular human being. Beauty as a concept is perfect, but a particular beautiful thing will have its own errors, like a fine sister who has one knot or something at the back of her ears, or the fine car which has a bad tire. So it's beautiful, a beautiful thing, observation, physical thing, will still have an error on it. But the original idea of beauty, the concept of beauty, is perfect. So see what is happening. The original form or essence of thing is perfect, yet Plato claims it brings about the particular instances of it, which are what? Imperfect. How can the bird give birth to the crab? Okoton one man. So if the original is perfect, that which it begats, that which it causes, must also have the same nature. That's the challenge that Aristotle throws to his master, who is trying to explain how it is that particular tables participate in the form of tableness, or particular human beings like yourself and myself are all commonly called human beings because we share in the nature of human beingness, in the form of human beingness, in the what? In the essence of what human being is. We share in it. Share in it how? When we have nothing, the particular examples of photocopies, the things themselves that we observe with Plato's appearance, the things themselves don't share any attribute, any character in common with the original. So the human, look at me, I'm a human being. I can die. I can be destroyed. I change. When I was 2 years on my mother's lap, it's not what you see now. Yet, Plato's argument is human beingness proper. The word human beingness, which is the concept or the idea, never changes. And that one is real. Whilst you and I, the particular instances, we are not real. That wouldn't have been a problem. But he says it is the real idea of human beingness that we participate in. That is why we are called human beings and not chairs. We are not chairs. We are human beings. It means you have a connection with the concept or the form of human beingness, which he says is a thing, real thing, but it's abstract, not tangible. So the question, and I've asked again, is this: how can the perfect cause the imperfect? That is a question. Then two, do you realize that I am a human being, but I'm also a living thing? So Plato makes the suggestion that every particular thing is defined by one specific form. So if you see me, or if you see the table, let's use the table. If you see the table, then you see only what? Wood. So the table belongs to the idea of tableness. But look at that, it belongs to the idea of tableness, but it also belongs to the idea of woodness, wood. And it also belongs to the idea of four-leggedness. You see, so Plato cannot pretend or cannot argue. This is a critique raised by his student. Shouldn't think that when you see the physical object, it necessarily leads you to a specific form. The argument is things may have multiple forms that they belong to. So which one should we use to define the thing? If you saw an apple on your table, or let's use a dog out there, you will call it a dog, says Plato, because the physical object you are seeing participates in the nature of the form of a dogness. But when I see a dog, I also see four-leggedness. So do I call the dog a dog only, or I can also describe it as a four-legged animal, or I could call it a living thing, okay? Or I could call it what? What's the thing? An amphibian, eh? Hey, that's an amphibian, no. A living thing is enough. Let's leave it to the amphibians have frogs and the others, okay? A mammal, yeah. What I'm trying to show you is that one specific object need not necessarily be connected to only one particular form, but Plato presumes that that is the case, and that is a critique also raised against him. So me, am I a mother or a sister or a daughter? Plato suggests that when you see me, you will see the form that I participate in, and that is how come you can name me easily. But I am a daughter. So do I belong to, or am I participating in the form of daughterness or motherness? Because I'm a mother too, or lecturerness. What's the other one? Or sisterness. I'm a sister. You see, when you see me, I'm a multiplicity of such several what forms. That is the second critique. This we didn't really engage in all the in-person sessions. So I'm helping you look at some of the critiques you can raise against the gentleman. Okay. Now to the characteristics, which are self-explanatory and are all on the screen. They have self-predication, independent from particulars. They are perfect. Self-predication means they don't need something else to serve as their predicate. I can say Nancy is beautiful, but beauty proper, the form beauty, doesn't need any qualifying factor. Beauty is beauty. I am that I am. But Nancy will have to be qualified by a predicate, okay? Because Nancy is a particular instance of beauty. So we say Nancy is beautiful. But what about beauty, the form beauty itself? It doesn't need any predicate. That's what we mean. It is self-predicate. It has a self-predication. So beauty is beauty, good is good, justice is justice, referring to what the form. It is perfect, it's simple. Simple means it is just one. What is really just is one. What is really a table is one. Tableness, period. There aren't many of them, but there are many particular instances, copies of tables all around. Green table, black one, brown one, four-legged, wooden, metallic, at the lecture hall, at the bedroom, different types of tables, particular instances of tables. Okay. Then we say reality is what? Unchangeable. You can change it. It's fixed. They don't become anything. They simply are. Okay. Then eternal. It is not restricted by time. Okay. That is table. Excuse me. That is reality. It is not restricted by time. Okay. All right. It is incorporeal. It means it doesn't have matter in it. Then it's because it is the one that causes other things, and it is non-spatial. All right. Now the next grade. Characteristics of the particulars. They are changeable, so they are the direct opposite. I told your friends. Spatiotemporal just means particulars are subject to space and time. If you put that specific table here, you can move it. It can't be in your room at the same time. The space it occupies, it will be there until you yourself, I say it can be until you yourself move it to another place. But your mind doesn't remain at one space. You can go into your future in your mind and see yourself as a multi-billionaire rich man. Or you can even be married to your celebrity friend in your mind. No one can restrict that. No space can keep that. They can put the physical body in prison. They cannot imprison your mind and the things you can do. Okay. You can tell someone, sit down. Because she's your subordinate, she'll sit physically. In her mind, she can be standing. Can't do anything about that. You can't restrict mind to space or time. Okay. Okay. But then this is sensible. You use the senses to see, not sensible as in brain sense, no. But you use your senses to grasp the physical. Mental things are not dependent on the senses. They are intelligible. Okay. Corporal means it is body, material. Okay. Subjective means it has a viewpoint, it's not objective. Imperfect means it has flaws. Copied, like the photocopy of your handout. It's not original. Okay. And then appearance is what? Complex. I explained simple for you. Simple means there's only one form of justice. All other justice systems you see are particular instances. The Ghanaian justice system, American justice system, Asante justice, whatever. They are just examples of them. There is only one good, as in goodness, good, there's one. But giving to the poor is an example of goodness, one instance, particular example. Helping the sick is another way of another expression of good. These are particular examples of what? Goodness. But goodness itself is one. You can have several instances of them. How can we know the forms? The form can be grasped by the mind, but not the senses. Mind is not necessarily brain. Learn that now. Brain is the whitish jelly-like substance in your head. I can pull out your brain. I can touch it. It is physical. Mind is not physical. Mind is non-physical. So some think of mind as soul or spirit. It is not tangible. It's not corporal. It's not material. Okay. The forms can only be grasped by the mind, the non-physical part of you. So some may say your spiritual self, not the senses, not what your eyes and your ears and your tongue is tasting. Somebody will just hear you, Kwame, oh, Kwame, and because of how he's hearing the voice, he'll go and still to come and take care of the lady. it is in the that channel, the ears, okay, is receiving sensations and is acting on that. Better says, don't do that. Let the non-physical part of you reflect and interrogate the matter. Then you can come to a better view of what should constitute the right behavior. It is through reasoning that we come to the knowledge of the forms. Okay, when you look at the text, it even goes further to show you that outside of the cave, even up there in the real world, you'll be reasoning to see the reflections. But when you want to be intelligent, when you use the intellect, you are now seeing what the object itself, not a reflection of the physical object outside of the cave now. Okay, so even reasoning and intelligence or intellect, one is higher than the other. Okay. In apprehending the form of something, the mind is acquainted with the reality of that thing and knows the truth about it. We have said that. For Plato, forms are more real than the copies of them we experience in this world. Obviously, the original text that I gave to your TA to help you copy will be more real than the photocopies generated. Okay, that is Plato for you. Now, the ultimate principle of reality, the ultimate principle, the light through which all reality, all forms, all essences, all ideas, all forms are placed. The ultimate principle by which we measure all forms is what? The good. So by the allegory, the sun outside of the cave is the one throwing its lights on reality, the things outside of the cave, so that the released prisoner, the philosopher, can see the real nature of things from his mental eye, unlike what he sees or he thought he knew under in the cave there. So in the cave were illusions and beliefs that formed his opinion. But as he climbed out of the cave and the reflections of the sun's ray falls on the real things out there, then he comes to the realization that, oh, democracy couldn't have been what we were practicing all this while. It can't be so. Democracy should really be this and that because of so and so and so reason, since it deals with so and so and so. Enlightenment. Okay, what is bringing that? The quest for the good, the sun's light. What is the good life? What is the good system of government? What is the good marriage? What is the good this? What is the good this? So the good becomes the ultimate principle of reality that informs our true nature of things. Is there something we are missing here? The ultimate principle of reality and truth is the good. Any instance of being found anywhere is traceable finally to the good. Note, the notion of the good, exemplified by the sun in the allegory, is the highest form, capital F. The highest form is the good. The good gives things we know they are truth. It makes it possible for people to have knowledge, much in the same way the sun sheds light on things to make them visible. I think you get it. The good is also an ideal value, the highest value. The metaphor of the sun, which is the good, that exemplifies what? An interrelation among Plato's metaphysics, his epistemology, and his ethics. So back to the cave again. Here we see the path to enlightenment. See, this so-called master in the cave doesn't know nothing, my friend will say. He's a master of opinions. He thinks he's a master, he doesn't know nothing. But when the freed prisoner, who is a philosopher who sets himself loose from the entanglement of the senses, climbs out and receives reflection, he is admonished. See on the screen now, the duty of the philosopher is admonished to return to the cave. I have given you an elaboration of that already. You return with the light that you have seen and give to those who have lived around the latrine for too long. You don't smell the foul smell from the latrine any longer. They are used to it. So when you come and you bring body cologne or some nice perfume, they think it's smelling. They are used to, they are rather smelling. You need time, you need patience, you need empathy to help people see the way you see it. You cannot have an all arrogant posture. Okay? Because even where people have been humble about it and have gone directly to help people see that you are wrong, this can't be. They are killed. Look at Jesus Christ, look at Socrates, look at Martin Luther King, etc., etc. When you try to challenge the status quo, even where you do it humbly and point to the truth, sometimes the truth is bitter for others because it undermines, so to speak, they think their authority that they have wielded all this while. Ask Galileo when he discovered, together with Copernicus and his friends, some truth. You see how they were treated. So a philosopher is admonished to go back and help society, but you should be ready to face antagonism, especially where it touches on people's so-called wielded master kind of posturing. But we will do our best and we will be minded by those who went ahead of us. And that is our calling. Plato's allegory of the cave describes how people that depend only on their senses are analogous to people who spend their lives in caves, only looking at shadows. Okay, you'll be deceived and deceived and deceived until they come to terms with the fact that the father you saw the lady lying flat on her boss by the swimming pool and they are both in swimsuits in itself doesn't mean you caught them in any illicit affair. You saw the person hand over those dollars to that big man. That's what you are saying. That in itself, you could even hear, oh, I'll see to it that everything is done right for you. That in itself doesn't say anything. Really, really, reality. You need further and better particulars. You need to give people time. Instant justice cannot be justified, regardless of how red-handed you think you caught the person in the act. Give time, because what we see may not really, I said may, it may, but it may not be really what we think we see. Reality for Plato is not even given in sensation at all. Philosophers go out there and respectfully help people interrogate matters. Give time in the legal system. Give time. Be patient. Don't pass judgment when it could turn out otherwise. It may never turn out otherwise, but could you give just a little time, just in case? Are you rubbishing the patient and saying this kind of fibroids, when you have it, you never give birth to, you can't give birth again, period? Who says who? Based on your empirical research, are you God? Did you create the world? How many planets did we have? How many do we have now? Could we turn out to have only 3 in some years to come? They are empirically grounded. You want to be careful how you use your empirical claims to make assumptions of certainty about what is really there. We may work with it, but we should always know that it could be wrong. It could be wrong. Why? Because it's empirical. Okay, so these people will come to believe that only shadows exist. And when someone tells them of the world of light above, they do not believe them. This is analogous to a philosopher who is not believed when he claims to see the world as it truly is. You can picture the the man Jesus that I have represented in this scenario. You know, he tells them things. He said, "You do not know the man up there. I am coming from there, and I'm telling you that this is not what he wants." And they're angry and they want to stone him. People, philosophers will face that. Martin Luther will say, I'm looking into the scripture and I see something. And I don't believe in this confession thing. That is Martin Luther saying that. We agree, I'm talking about Martin Luther Jr. I have a challenge with this separation of the black church from there. I'm speaking, these things are things that have happened. They're not stories. Why do we have a church for blacks and one not for blacks? In a system currently that will say, we don't do that, but it was there. The clubhouse that cannot admit blacks, one that can admit blacks. So I'm saying that the society needs people like you and I who are constantly raising fundamental questions about how we are organized. We can't come raising those questions if we haven't interrogated them ourselves by our reflection, by our question asking posture, very innocent, willing to learn, humble enough to admit it when people go wrong, and humble enough to accept that this could have been done better. Jesus says the one who has not sinned should throw the first stone. He didn't say, you people, you don't know sin. You are here, arrogant. He didn't do that. He wanted them to come to that realization themselves by his question asking. He says, the one who has not sinned should throw the first stone. And people did self-analysis and they started turning with their big stones one after the other. And the scripture that I'm referring to, which you can Google if you are not a scripture person, that particular scripture person, no problem. You can Google and test and see. They said they left the elders first. It means that the elderly person remembers that sin, that the sins are more depending on how old you are. The one who stole fish from mommy's soup, when they sent him, he brought smaller change. He said the woman is not there. Meanwhile, I didn't go. Started remembering or he left. Self-examination can lead people to revert and change than when it sounds accusational, then people may not want to receive what you brought. In fact, sometimes it is not you. They will stone you to death like they did to Stephen and others. Okay. For Plato, the philosopher has a duty to enlighten the uneducated. The philosopher must show them the real causes of the phenomenon that are experienced by the unenlightened. I hope that how we related the content to practical issues of religion, of culture, of political parties, justice, etc., would be useful to you all. Study the content like I've always said, and bring me your questions if you have any. I wish you a wonderful weekend and then a good preparation towards Ortega's Man Has No Nature, which will help us understand the question of whether we are able at all to change something about our lives via the choices we make, or that we do not have any choice at all. Everything is already predetermined. We'll engage that interesting paper and then set out a framework to practically apply it. Have a wonderful weekend and do some prayers. It helps always. Take care.